Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Dreamers Game 1, where we are playing Yomi. This is turn 58, and the game's still not over, so things are going good. Starting off at the top of the turn, we have Jen, wannabe the Ubaran Scout, has claimed the Throne of Gaia. So this is Ubar. So boom, Ubar claiming the Throne of Gaia. Very good. Which is, that's important. That's a solid, now someone is holding on to another throne to keep away from Helheim. That's pretty good. We have an Auspex that found nothing, Augury that found nothing, a Reanimation, an Arcane Probing that found nothing, and then a Horospex that found a Glyn of Verdant Greenery, another nature one. I think we got +1 nature last turn, so yeah. We continue to discover more nature sites. We're up to 14 nature, and that's pretty nice. I'm pretty excited about having decent nature. Nature allows us a lot of options as far as like boosting into good battlefield magic, but also just pretty decent things like Bind Shields and Boots of the Messenger and Rings of Regeneration, all of which are very well received options. Even something as simple as like Horned Helmets, I think, are like pretty good options as well. You know, those types of things. So that's pretty cool. Gym income, nature +1. Boom. Happy about that. I'm always happy when we get something out of our site searching rather than nothing. And now we have a couple of battles. We have taken control of the province of Mereni. Our forces met no resistance because we hit that province like 2 turns ago and killed the province defense then, and Hinam did not put anything back in. So that's good for us. Because we can also see the entrance to the fortification in Mereni has been breached. So, now's the question of, can we make anything happen with that or not? We have a battle in the Belfields where we attacked, raiding with, who is this? Tsunehi. Okay, cool. And we're up against just a little bit of PD. Nothing happening here. Let's see if they can get lucky. Nope. Definitely not. Okay, so we win there. We witness Hinam attacking Lanka. So Hinam does move the big army towards Agartha. And this is great fucking news for us. Like, this is awesome fucking news for us. Obviously, this army is going to beat the crap out of that PD. But this means that the big force that is close was preventing us from just winning this war against Hinam has suddenly marched away from the front line. We're up against just a little bit of PD here, so no big deal. Whoa. Sorry. You're fine. I just hear it in my head over there, and I'm just like, whoa. What are you doing?
Stretching?
No, I meant in your game.
I'm traveling to the wrong place, as per normal.
That's fair. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. Moving on. So, we're gonna look at the board and see what opportunities this presents us. But, as just a ratio, battles versus Hinam this turn, 3 wins and 0 losses. Okay, so that is very nice, and potentially going to lead to really, really good stuff. We've got a couple of unexpected events. Defense +15 in Golan Fins. That's pretty nice. So Golan Fins is over here. It's our little enclave where, like, we have this peace treaty with Helheim, so we just get to sit here in Golan Fins and slowly generate, I guess, individuals. We've got some, got some gem income over here, and now it's slightly better defended. It's not very good province defense, but it's funny, so that's kind of cool. You know what, I've talked about this. I think I've talked about this a couple of times in the past, but in a Dominion 6 world, right? I really think that being able to customize your province defense a little bit, still being able to like set the level of your province defense, like paying an amount, right? To set the level of your province defense it's fine, but being able to customize your province defense a little bit would be really cool. Like, for instance, if say this province was the Jaguar tribe, or a Jaguar tribe province, it'd be cool if there were like 5 or 6 Jaguar tribe units, and then like 3 or 4 commanders, and we could pick, right? Like, line 1 is gonna be the Jaguar slingers, or line 2 is going to be the Jaguar tribe warriors, or line 1 is going to be the Jaguar tribe warriors, and then line 2 is going to be the shapeshifters, the ones that actually like transform into jaguars, but they're so rare you only get like one of them for every 5 or something like that. So like being able to customize a little bit and then like pick, do you want this Jaguar tribe priest, or do you want a beefy like Jaguar tribe war chief, I just think making the province defense more interactive and more customizable would be a really cool note to be able to play with. And that's my requisite tangent of what I think would make Dominion 6 real good. Moving on, sorry. So we got some province defense in Golden Fens, and then in Osteen, we lost taxes and lost province income. So really unfortunate. So no real events to report there, or at least not to track. We got a fortification breach in Marini. Let's talk about that. Hinam has marched towards Agartha. I do not know if he is going to continue in that direction, or now that I have attacked one of his fortifications and breached it in a single turn, I don't know if that means he's now going to come back at us, right? My assumption would be that he thought one thing, and we have probably now changed his mind on that. So my assumption is that this army is going to come back towards us. But it's too late for Marini. It is too late for Marini. This army is not going to be able to reach here in time. Now the question is, so we're going to storm Marini this turn, and now the question is can we do anything else about that? So I'm gonna be a little hypey. There are Mel carts out in the field, and we do know that Hinam has demon killers among his Mel carts. So doing this is risking these Dione, but I'm gonna send Junichi towards Hinam to try to hamper any ideas that he has on his capital. And we're sieging Cormark with this Bakemono chief just to keep a lid on him. And then we're gonna cut into Grey Mountains with Sunei, and hopefully kind of like create a situation where Hinam's not gonna have much of any income at the moment. And the hope is that he is potentially losing individuals at this point. So I don't know how intense this is going to be, but at the very least, if we take Marini with such high unrest, we basically have a safe haven right next to his capital. Like, if he comes back over here and he's able to like force me back, and he sits on Marini and we have this big force here, I actually feel okay with that. Of course, the only big issue there being is the amount of mages that he has. But again, if he can't pay for the mages, I think they leave, is the actual scenario that happens there. I very rarely have had that type of situation happen, but I do believe that's the mechanic, right? Like, if your treasury, if you can't pay for your upkeep, then people will start to leave, right? And he doesn't have much in the way of living troops, right? Like his undead aren't going to leave, but his commanders might. So, yeah, I think that's the play. We're going to take Morini. We're going to try to sit on Hinam. Going to try to take Grey Mountains, and that's that. Other than that, we are sending reinforcements up with Shoichi. And then we're just mostly moving things around to consolidate forces. On that vein, we haven't touched on that in a while. So in the below, we have a little over 100 units. Kind of trying to consolidate from Black Harbor. But in Grey Mountains, we actually have quite a few units. A lot of these are... I was going to say a lot of these are long dead, but honestly, that's not that much. We've got a pretty big stack over here. So our eastern border is starting to become quite robust. And then in the scenario of Strongdale, Iron Caverns, and Mysia, we probably have about 300 total overish here. And then we're starting to develop a force in Scardian Vale. It's going to be a while before I feel really threatening at any of these locations, except for maybe Grey Mountains, but it's okay. We're moving along. So, we've got that. Let's talk about actual hard things. We've got a bit of recruitment. Recruitment this turn, we've got 1 Scout. That's been a while. We have 1 Enchantress. What? And we have 1 Onishugo. So, let's talk about those things after I jot this down real quick. So the scout is actually pretty simple. We're recruiting a scout over here in Kodal Swamp just because we've been losing a lot of our scouts over the course of the last 20 turns or so. And we haven't really been producing a lot of them because we've had a lot of money issues. So I would kind of like to get more eyes back out into the world. We're going to produce some scouts here and there, probably in Kodal Swamp for the next couple of turns. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would like to get some more vision on the board. That being said, this particular scout probably is not going to be used for that. I'm probably going to send him up to Ghent. Ghent is a very nice province, and it's right next to... We are at peace with Helheim right now, but that's not going to last for all of eternity. So I think we're going to put a fort in Ghent so that we have a better base of operations next to Pistina. So that's probably going to be what we're going to do with this scout in the near future. And then the Enchantress is actually up here in Ancient Woods. So this is the Enchantress, nature, and a bunch of other options: fire, air, water, earth, nature, etc., etc. Pretty expensive and kind of bad on the upkeep cost for us. But what we're trying to do here, and this is going to take several turns because this place only has 1 recruitment point, so this will take a while. But what we're trying to do here is see if we can get lucky with some nature primarily, right? So we have a decent chance, not a great chance, but a decent chance of getting a second nature here. And if we do, we have a nature 2 option, with a Moonvine bracelet and a Thistle Mace is suddenly a nature 4, and a nature 4 is way easier to do things with on the battlefield, specifically on the battlefield, but also just ritual casting and things like that, compared to a nature 1 lizard shaman that maybe needs a communion to boost up or something like that. So it's just way easier to deal with an enchantress. And also, depending on what we get, there are some cross paths here that are pretty good. Cross paths that we don't really have great access to. Primarily like earth and nature cross paths that would be really cool to have access to. This is kind of a little bit of a gamble. And it's a long con. It might not give us anything. And if it doesn't, whatever, we have a researcher that's a little on the expensive side. We'll see how it goes. And then the Onishugo, again, more Onishugos produced in Ulm. We're probably going to make Onishugos in Ulm every chance that we get. Send them to places like Scardian Vale and Strongdale to create stronger Oni summoning factories in those locations so that we can continuously have more and more Oni generation, basically. So there's that. Ritual side of things, mostly normal. We've got a bunch of site searches, so one augury, one auspex, one voice of Apsu, one gnome lore, one arcane probing, one haruspex, and our one requisite reanimation over in Gray Mountains. So pretty typical on that situation. And then forging, we're actually doing a fair amount of forging this turn as well. We have one lightless lantern, one dragon helmet, one shadowbrand, one scutado volturnus, one armor of knights, one bracers of protection, one boots of the messenger, and one ring of regeneration. So that's a fair amount of forging. And that's mostly just because I've talked about this for a while, but we're trying to put together gear sets for our stuff. So one shadowbrand, a scutado volturnus, a dragon helmet, an armor of the knights, a boots of the messenger. We're doing a bracers of protection instead of a girdle of might because we have the boots of the messenger, so we don't need the additional reinvigoration necessarily. And then a ring of regeneration. So basically I'm just trying to get in the vein of, we might not be able to stick to it, but I'm trying to get in the vein of making gear sets every turn so that we can kit out some of these freaking, we got a bunch of Dione. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 Dione that do not have completed gear sets. So that's a lot of potential power on the board that we're not making great use of. I do think that I shouldn't be making these shadow brands. I get in the habit of making shadow brands because they're easy for me to make right now. But I don't think they're going to be great matchups against Hinam, specifically right now. And I'm not sure they're going to be great matchups against some of the people that we're fighting potentially in the future, right? So I'm not thrilled about that. But alternatively, I don't really have the fire gems to make frost brands. I could be making, or fire gems to be making fire brands. I could be making frost brands instead. But to do that, I would have to start casting Voice of Apsu, which is an option. I just am kind of unwilling to do so. So there's that. And then I say that, but like frost brands also, like shadow brands, aren't great against undead, right? So it's kind of in that vein. It's kind of fire brands or bust, or do something not focused on the AoE, right? Like do a different thing, like a defensive, like a stinger, or like a main gauche, right? Those types of scenarios, you know. So I have other options. I'm just kind of like I'm doing shadow brands out of habit, so probably not the best of plans. But anyways, let's talk about some other stuff. We've got Thrones of Ascension, 1, 2, 3, 4 thrones for Helheim, 1, 2, 3 thrones for Lanka. Everyone else is 2 or less. So again, the pressure is somewhat abated. It seems like the end of the world is not quite nigh. That being said, there is a Svartalf here, which I think might be Helheim's god. And I do believe Helheim is probably going to take the Golden Throne this turn, which puts Helheim back at 5. So it's still kind of on the cusp, but from what I have been hearing from Lanka and Ubar during discussions, it seems as if they're not 100% sure, right? But they feel relatively confident. They've begun to whittle Helheim down, basically. So the fear of the game being imminently over is slowly withdrawing. And that is okay. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, we're also moving. I wanted to point this out. We're moving Tomokazu away because he is a Death 4 mage. He's one of our only ones. You can potentially get a death 5, but it's super duper low chance. But a death 4 actually is pretty important to us because a death 4 can take a skull face and a skull staff and be a death 6, and that death 6 can cast Well of Misery. And you might say, yeah, but Jeremy, you already have a death 6 right here, Kurofumi. Why don't you just cast a Well of Misery with him? And I might do that, but here's 2 reasons why I might not, and I might instead use Tomokazu. And here's the thing. One is because Tomokazu, the Dione, is way stronger than Kurofumi is. Way more HP, way more defensible, higher protection, better stats, etc., etc. So he can potentially keep himself alive in bad situations. So that is one thing, is just the defensibility of that individual. The second is that Kurofumi, because of our pitiful display against Helheim and the loss of our Bandit King, Kurofumi is our only blood option. So as we move forward with this, we might have to take a look at Kurofumi and maybe boost him, because we actually do have this Armor of Souls here, right? So he could boost up to Blood 2, but Blood 2 doesn't really let us do much. Blood 3, however, will allow us to create a Bloodthorn, and Blood 4 gets us the option to do a couple of different things. But specifically, we only need Blood 3 in order to do Curse of Blood with Kurofumi. But the only way we can get to Blood 3 is through either boosting Kurofumi and using the Armor of Souls, or we could maybe trade for a Bloodthorn from a different nation. But people can be kind of reticent to trade boosters, especially blood boosters, because, you know, people are like, no, I don't want you to have high blood, right? That can be a bit of a thing. Not to say that we couldn't do it, but it's a potential sticking point. So either way, though, like, dabbling in blood or getting too terribly involved in blood, especially if we're boosting, gives someone like Kurofumi the opportunity to get horror marked. And if he's horror marked, we don't want him to have Well of Misery on him. That's just an invitation to eventually lose Well of Misery and get really fucking frustrated about it. So since we have an opportunity to do something else, like put it on Tomokazu, we're gonna potentially take that option. Now, that being said, that might mean that we actually are unable to do, because we should have it 2 turns from now. So we might not be able to try to do Well of Misery the turn that we get it, because I think it's gonna take Tomokazu a while. I guess we could send him to Scardian Vale or Flemiston, but I'd rather have him on, like, in a safe location like Ulm or Yomi before he's dropping, you know, Well of Miseries. But we'll see how it goes anyways. So that, I think, is the last little thing to really chat about. Seems about right. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.